Good morning. It is Wednesday, March the 15th. Beware the Ides of March. I believe that was a Shakespeare reference. It's too early for me to remember stuff. I have bags under my eyes. It's hi. How you guys doing? So anyway, I've been kind of lax with my videos. I'm not going to apologize. It just is what it is. I'm just lax with my videos. So I was going to do a quick brief video today on, just kind of spring and what's coming up, and trying to figure out where my camera is. Okay, so we've had winter 3.0 and spring not going to happen. And man, it's just been some crazy weather out there. Like we've had 70-degree days already, and then 2 days ago we got like 6 inches of snow, which is disturbing. I don't care for that. I don't like the snow. I don't like the cold. I want the spring. So in the spirit of getting ready for spring, which actually starts next Monday. So Monday is the spring equinox, which means that it's Ostara for those of us who are pagans who might follow the Celtic Eights, the holidays. We celebrate Ostara, and what that's all about is it's the second spring holiday of the year. The first one being Imbolc in February, which obviously doesn't look like spring for most of us. But this is the one where we celebrate the beginnings of the fertilities. We celebrate the little plants starting to come up. And so in our household, what that usually means is we dye eggs because, A, eggs are a symbol of fertility, and B, it's fun. And so even though it's just my husband and I, and neither of us are 5 years old, we always take a couple dozen eggs and I boil them up, and we sit down and we dye eggs for Ostara, and we color on them, and we usually each of us make like a little I love you egg for the other one because we're squishy that way. And anyway, so we do eggs. But the other thing that we always do is if we're going to grow any kinds of gardens or plants that we want for the spring and summer, which in our realm sort of kind of means plants that we'd like to put in the ground and then forget entirely about until we feel really bad because they've been overrun with weeds and we cannot harvest anything from them because we are horrible outdoor gardeners because there are mosquitoes. But this is the time when we plant seeds as well. And I usually save up like our egg cartons, like our cardboard egg cartons, and I get little pods and things, the little dirt pods, the little discs that you get wet, then they go poof. And then I get we have a sunroom in our house that I get all set up with like wire cage shelving so that, there's plenty of air, there's plenty of sunlight and exposure and everything. And I plant little tiny seeds. So yesterday what I did in preparation for this is I have a really wonderful friend, and we try and help each other out as much as we can through different times. And over the last couple of years, she's been having a really rough go with health and illnesses and surgeries and such. And then a year ago, just a little over a year ago now, her husband passed on her. And when he passed, she was really deathly ill at the same time. So it was kind of not trying to be crappy about it or anything, but it was kind of like, they were in 2 separate hospitals. Who was going to die first? And he did not make it. He had been declining. It wasn't entirely unexpected, but it was sad all the same. It doesn't matter how much you expect somebody passing, it's still sad when they go. So she's been having a real rough go, and she's coming out the other side a little bit. Her grieving process has progressed enough that, she's kind of looked around her and she's kind of moved the cobwebs out of the way and gone, I need to get back to this living thing. Which happens to all of us when we grieve a deep, deep loss, like a spouse or a very close friend or family member. We have a period of darkness in our mourning where we forget to kind of look around us. We take care of the absolute barest minimum of things in our life. And at some point we kind of open our eyes and it's like a new morning, and we look around and go, God, there's a lot of cobwebs around here, and there's, stuff that's got to get done, and life that has to be lived. And that's how most of us function through a grieving process. So she's on the other side now, where she's starting to kind of come out, and she's looking for projects and things to do. And let me tell you what a project I can be. Because when we bought this house, we weren't aware of what 1,700 square feet of house and nearly an acre of yard would entail, because we'd never owned our own house. So she and I sat down yesterday. I'm kind of rambling, but there's a point here. She and I sat down yesterday. We had a nice, lovely brunch at the local cafe. And she's a master gardener, and her yard is amazing. I mean, it's always been amazing. Even when she's like down in the dumps, it's amazing. So we sat down with packages of seeds that I have, and with drawn out plans of my yard, and pencil and paper and pen, and we kind of made some notes on what's there. We made some notes on what we would like to see. Made some notes on what I've got, what I don't have, what she has, what she doesn't have, what needs to be bought. And we started laying out a plan for the spring and summer to not only get me outside and get me gardening like somebody who doesn't want to just put a seed in the ground and then let it die, but it allows her to have a project that she can kind of help out on. It gives she and I some time to spend together, where, frequently we find that the only time we spend together is scheduled time. So this schedules time. We will now see each other once a week or once every other week, which will be kind of nice. It'll be nice to hang out with her and talk with her, and. So we're gonna work with hostas, and we're gonna work with seeds and lily of the valley and ferns and sedum, because I love sedum. I think all the little plants in the sedum family are just beautiful. All the little like hens and chickens, and the little sedum plants, and they're so low maintenance. And so we're going to try and get like mowing on a schedule. We're going to get watering on a schedule. We're going to get low maintenance planting down. We're going to get planting that will help discourage weeds put into place. We're going to work on figuring out how to keep my garden going, rather than starting a really lovely garden and getting foot-high plants and then forgetting about it. We're going to try and get like brambles taken care of, and extra mulberries, because, if there's one mulberry tree in your yard, there's 1,000 mulberry trees in your yard. It just is the way it is with mulberries, and the grapevines and the bindweed and all these little things that are just like taking over the yard that are non-desirable. I told her that my hard and fast rule with the yard in general, that I will not budge on, is chemicals. I will not have chemicals put on my yard, because I use a lot of the things that people consider to be weeds. I use plantain, I use creeping Charlie, I'll use lamb's ear, I'll use burdock. There are things in my yard that are growing that I want to continue to grow, so I want to encourage them to grow, not kill them. And because I do harvest out of my yard, I don't want chemicals in my yard at all, because I don't want chemicals on the things that I'm going to consume. So I'm hard and fast on chemicals. So we're trying to figure out creative ways of eliminating vining weeds that we don't want, like the bindweed and such. So, and the mulberries, the mulberries that have gotten out of hand, that are now, tiny saplings instead of just little leafies. So yeah, that's kind of my way of getting prepared for the spring and starting to get excited for the spring. I am so excited about working on all this stuff. I am so intimidated by working on all this stuff. Because again, like I said, I had no idea what taking on just under an acre would mean for somebody who's never owned a house before and is not outside inclined. Especially with the mosquitoes, who love me and leave big welts. So that's what I'm doing to get ready for spring. What are you guys doing to get ready for spring? What kind of stuff do you guys do? Do you plant? Are you gardeners? Do you appreciate the outside through a window, like I tend to do? leave me some comments. Let me know what you think. I'm going to leave this video at this, and I'm going to try and be back here again next Wednesday and see how this goes. So have a good one. Have a good St. Patrick's Day for those of you who celebrate it. Have a good spring, because I won't see you before spring starts, so I'll see you after Ostara. Happy Ostara. And yeah, have a great week, guys. Bye.